Watching movies is one of my favorite pastimes. Whether they be new or old, good or bad, it's always great sitting down for a couple of hours and watching a story unfold. Generally, I'll watch a movie, enjoy it, and then not really think about it much after. Every once in a while, though, I'll find a movie that just speaks to me on another level, and that's what happened with A Silent Voice, also known as Koe no Katachi. It's a tragic story of a boy who bullied a deaf girl in elementary school and paid the price, and is trying to make up for what he did years later. I instantly fell in love with this movie, and actually ended up watching it 5 days in a row, and I loved it each time. Seeing as today is the 2-year anniversary of its release, I figure it's the perfect time to talk about why A Silent Voice is such a great movie. Before I talk about the movie though, I want to talk about how it was made. It was adapted from a 7-volume manga of the same name, written by Yoshitoki Oima. The manga was adapted into a movie in 2017 by the incredible Kyoto Animation. They've done tons of well-known anime like Free, K-On!, and Violet Evergarden, all of which are known for their stunning animation. The animation studio behind A Silent Voice is great, and the choice of director helped elevate it, that director being Naoka Yamada. Naoka Yamada has directed a fair amount of movies and shows over the past few years, one of the most well-known being K-On! Her directing helps show the characters' emotions even without explicitly saying it. She has a tendency to focus on characters' legs, which works wonders in showing reactions in a non-traditional way. Her approach of directing really helps give A Silent Voice its incredible style in a way that only animation could convey. Just a quick heads up, the rest of the video will have spoilers for A Silent Voice. It's available on Netflix, so I implore you to go watch it first, as its impact is much greater without spoilers. And as a warning, I will be talking about depression and suicide in this video, so if you aren't able to handle those topics, that's okay, and I would recommend you don't necessarily watch further. While the majority of the movie takes place in high school, a good chunk of the beginning takes place in elementary school, where the main characters Shoya and Shoko first meet. Shoko transfers into the class, and everyone is amazed by her because she's deaf. In the early days, everybody tries to help her with everything, but as time goes on, her classmates start getting sick of her. Seeing this, Shoya decides to start bullying Shoko, much to the amusement of the class. However, after Shoya goes too far and rips out Shoko's hearing aids and she starts bleeding, he starts being bullied by his classmates. Shoko transfers schools and Shoya becomes a social outcast, and the movie goes back to the present. We had seen that Shoya was planning to commit suicide, but decided against it after reconciling with Shoko and asking to be her friend. After he returns one of her notebooks she used to write and talk to people, and he talks to her in sign language, the two become friends. But while Shoya and Shoko are friends, it's shown that Shoya now has immense social anxiety when talking to anybody besides his family. This is shown by everyone having a large blue X over their face, and the fact that Shoya doesn't look at anybody's face while talking to them. Throughout the story, Shoya starts opening up to more people, the first of which is Tomohiro, another social outcast. These two become good friends, and Tomohiro helps Shoya break out of his shell. Shoya continues to meet with Shoko, and the two bond by feeding bread to fish. Shoya also befriends Shoko's sister Yuzuru after finding her kicked out of her house one night. As he continues to make friends, Shoya becomes much happier, and eventually he invites all his friends to a theme park. This also includes another classmate Satoshi, and 2 of his elementary school friends Miki and Naoka. Naoka did and still does hate Shoko, and when she tries to reunite Shoya with one of his former best friends, it upsets him and messes with him psychologically. The group starts to fall apart when it's learned that Naoka was bullying Shoko at the park, and when Miki tells all of Shoya's current classmates about what happened. Shoya gets mad and tells everyone off, except for Shoko and Yuzuru. He gets closer with them and decides to go to a fireworks show with them. Shoko leaves early, but Shoya also leaves early to get Yuzuru's camera. When he gets to their apartment, he sees Shoko standing on the balcony about to commit suicide. Shoya runs and manages to grab her hand and pull her back up to the balcony, but he falls off into the river below in the process. While Shoya is in his coma, Shoko reaches out to all of his friends to try to get everyone back together again. Once Shoya wakes up, he and Shoko talk to each other and plan to move forward in life together. Shoya reunites with everybody at the school fair, and that's when he finally looks up and everybody's X's fall off of their faces. Even with everything I just covered, there were some parts that I couldn't cover, and also wanted to not reveal for those who want to watch or rewatch the movie after this video. A Silent Voice is a very character-driven movie, focused on Shoya and Shoko, but it's very much Shoya's story. We see him bully Shoko as a kid, get punished for what he did, and eventually grow to become a better person. Shoya is set up as a bully and unlikable early in the movie, but he isn't just that way because he's a jerk. The movie shows that Shoya did what he did to impress his friends, as he saw that they didn't like Shoko. While it doesn't justify what he did, it's understandable, especially because all of his classmates were on board until they got in trouble. After that happens, he's immediately socially isolated through high school. The usage of the X's over people's faces was a bold choice, but one that immensely pays off. It's a brilliant way of showing how isolated Shoya is, same with how most shots of him talking to people focus away from their face. One of the best parts of Shoya's story is seeing him transition into becoming a better person. As an elementary schooler, he's insufferable, and it actually feels terrible to watch. But when he takes those first steps and reaches out to Shoko, it's a great thing. However, it's even brought up in the movie that this isn't Shoya trying to be a white knight or absolve his past sins. He genuinely just wants to be Shoko's friend. Shoya ends up being a much better person because of it, and becomes friends with a loner like Tomohiro, and he reunites some of his old elementary school friends in the process. We especially see how much Shoya has grown after he saves Shoko from her suicide, and falls over a balcony himself because of it. By the end of the movie, both Shoya and Shoko have gone through life-changing events, and are going to work on living life together, one step at a time. There are also some things I can relate to with Shoya, not the bullying part, but sometimes pushing people away and having some major anxiety are things that aren't foreign to me. But seeing how Shoya can overcome all that is really inspirational, and helps me do that myself. Shoya may be the character with the most screen time, but Shoko is most definitely the other main character. I always have a hard time getting through the beginning of this movie due to how badly Shoko is treated by Shoya. Her ever-present sense of friendliness is a key characteristic of hers, and it shines even stronger due to all the problems she's had to deal with. Later in the movie, it's revealed that she's so friendly and caring to Shoya because she feels responsible for everything that happened to her, and blames herself for ruining his life. And while that couldn't be further from the truth, that's what motivated her to try and take her own life, so that Shoya wouldn't have to deal with her. It hurts to see someone so kind thinking so poorly about themselves, and the happiness that Shoko portrays even when being bullied makes the bad events hurt so much more. That emotional pain continues when you figure out that Shoko's been suicidal for a while, seemingly since elementary school. However, by the end of the movie, she's helped repair the broken friendships and is moving forward in life with both Shoya and herself bettered. The two main characters of Shoko and Shoya are easily the most fleshed out, but most of the side characters are also great. However, a few fall to the wayside, mainly Satoshi and Miki, but they still have mini character arcs in the movie. A lot of the side characters fit into standard roles like best friend, former childhood friend, or bully, yet the characters all have unique spins on those traits, making them feel both relatable and unique. The three characters I mainly want to focus here are Tomohiro, Yuzuru, and Naoka, as they each represent a strong dynamic in the movie. Tomohiro reflects how Shoya opens himself up more, Yuzuru represents Shoko's personal side, and Naoka represents the bullying and conflict. Tomohiro is Shoya's first real friend in high school, aside from Shoko, but just like Shoya, he's a loner. Although Tomohiro is such a funny and positive guy, it's a bit confusing how he doesn't have any other friends. Either way, Tomohiro is one of the nicest people in the movie, as he helps Shoya by giving him advice, money, and always sticking by his side. In fact, if he hadn't helped Shoya, he and Shoko wouldn't have been able to meet up again. Tomohiro helps Shoya know what a friend is, both by telling him and showing him, and the more those two hang out, the more open Shoya feels around others. When Shoya was in his coma, Tomohiro was one of the first people to show up, all because Shoya was the first person to show him kindness and be his friend. While Tomohiro immediately accepted Shoya, Yuzuru was the complete opposite. In fact, she pretended to be Shoko's boyfriend to get Shoya away from her. However, this was really just Yuzuru trying to protect her sister from being hurt again, and after Shoya helps Yuzuru out, she really warms up to him. Through Yuzuru, we see Shoko's family life, and how her mother still hates Shoya. Yuzuru also helps Shoya know when to meet up with Shoko, and basically plays matchmaker between the two of them. All throughout the movie, Yuzuru has a camera on her, and is generally taking pictures of dead things, and those pictures can be seen all around her room. Later on, we find out that Yuzuru was doing this to try to discourage Shoko's suicide, because if she saw what death looked like, she might not want to do it. It's obviously a flawed idea, but for someone as young as Yuzuru, it makes sense that seeing a bad thing would, in theory, repel someone from that. However, it doesn't work, and Shoya ends up in his coma. It can be seen then that Yuzuru still wears the shoes that Shoya gave her when she ran away from home, showing the bridging between the two. Finally, we come to the worst character in a silent voice, Naoka. Don't misunderstand me though, Naoka is a well-written character. It's just that she's written to be a terrible person. Her initial teasing of Shoko is what really inspired Shoya to bully her in the first place. That isn't terrible or abnormal, as most kids are jerks, but Naoka never grows out of that mentality. When she first has a conversation with Shoya again, she somewhat apologizes for what happened, but not truthfully, as she thinks that it was no big deal. She says all this between insulting Shoko as well. Her worst moment comes at the theme park though. She tries to reunite Shoya with Kazuki, his former best friend, but that's one of her few good moments. However, her continuous pushing after Shoyo is visibly upset isn't good. No, her worst moment comes after, when she takes Shoko into the Ferris wheel. She insults Shoko a bunch, saying she hates her and knows that the feeling is mutual, but when Shoko denies it and says that she hates herself, Naoka hits her multiple times. Later on in the movie, Naoka stays by Shoyo's side at the hospital, but even that isn't purely good, as she doesn't let anyone else in. By the end, she does get a bit of a comeuppance though, as when she insults Shoko in sign language, Shoko's just happy she actually learned a bit of sign language. If you couldn't tell, the writing in A Silent Voice is impeccable. Not only is the story incredible, but so are the character arcs, all of which is complemented with some great and realistic dialogue. I've already talked ad nauseum about most of the character arcs in the movie, which are natural extensions of what gets set up earlier on. The writing also does a good job handling these topics with weight, as well as making the characters and their problems feel realistic. When Shoyo wonders if he can have any fun always hits me hard.
Is this?
Faster, Satoshi! They're catching
We
up!
can do this, Gasho! Come on, pedal harder! What is this? Is it okay? Am I allowed to have this much fun? This feels so familiar.
Great catch,
Oh
buddy.
yeah. It almost feels like we're all friends.
Same with Shoko talking about moving forwards in life.
You can change. Start now. It's not too late.
Out of all the times I've watched this movie, I've never once ended with a dry eye. And every time there's a new spot that makes me cry, which is a testament to the writing. One aspect that can easily go overlooked while watching a movie is the direction and cinematography, but it's hard to overlook it in A Silent Voice. As previously mentioned, the director, Naoki Yamada, has many shots focused on characters' legs, which creates a very unique framing device for the movie. A lot of the time it's used to show Shoyo's view, as he's unable to look people in the eyes. It also helps subtly show character development, like Shoyo's walk changing from loose and carefree as a kid to a rigid and more formal nature when he's older. It's also seen with how Yuzuru wears Shoyo's old shoes that he gives her. This focus towards legs is a good way to show how everybody has changed since they were kids, or how they haven't changed in some people's cases. There are also multiple times when characters are shown at the sides of the frame when they're not totally comfortable in the situation, which can be seen with Shoyo and Yuzuru finding out what happened with Shoko and Naoka in the Ferris wheel. Another motif seen by the direction is Shoko feeling the vibrations of an object to know something. She knows Shoyo is by her in the beginning of the movie when she feels the vibrations on a railing. She uses her tea to feel the vibrations for the fireworks, and at the end of the movie she reconnects with Shoyo after feeling him touching a railing. Yet none of that compares to the impeccable use of sign language. Seeing as Shoko is deaf, she merely uses sign language to communicate, but there are never any subtitles for the signs. In some scenes, characters will repeat what she signs out loud so the audience knows what's being said, but in many scenes it just shows the signs themselves. While some may not like it, it's a realistic choice backed up with real sign language. Some signs are used multiple times, so the viewers know what they mean and can recognize them. I'll talk about a certain scene that benefits eagle-eyed viewers for noticing that. Either way, not all of the characters know sign, so the necessary information is always spoken out loud. This is some of the best wordless storytelling I've seen in movies, as for those not fluent in sign, which is most people, they have to judge what's going on by the scene direction and character reactions. Everything I've said about A Silent Voice proves it's great, but all of it is elevated to a higher level due to the amazing animation. It's gorgeous, with all of the characters standing out as unique, even background extras, and all of the environments looking beautiful. Later on in the movie, there's a scene where Shoko and Shoyo are walking around a bunch of different places in a park, and I would genuinely love to visit all of these places. Back to the characters, their unique designs and personalities shine through the animation, with Naoka being on the outskirts of the group when they're all together, Shoko being very deliberate with her hands so everyone understands her, Shoyo changing from tight and reserved to relaxed over the course of the movie, and much more. Through everything, the animation always looks smooth and realistic, everything stays perfectly on model, and no corners look like they were cut. The quality of the animation can even make some scenes hard to watch, namely the bullying scenes. Just adding on to the amazing package that A Silent Voice is, it has an incredible score. A lot of the tracks are atmospheric and less noticeable in the movie, but listening to the soundtrack on its own helps show the individuality of each song. The soundtrack has pieces that range from somber to upbeat to tense to inspirational. One of the best and most recognizable songs is Lit Ver. This is the piano track used at the movie's end. This singular piano getting joined by the flurry of other instruments towards the end to repeat the main riff is beautiful and emotional, even without the scene it plays behind. The soundtrack perfectly fits the movie. There's some great music to listen to while trying to relax or to get some work done. To really get my point across about how good this movie is, there's one scene that I think is just perfect. It encapsulates everything great about this movie while also being emotionally gut-wrenching, and it's Shoko's suicide attempt. It really starts when Shoko leaves the fireworks show. As Shoyo says goodbye to her, he signs, "See you later." This has been clearly shown multiple times in the movie, so the viewer can instantly recognize it. In response, Shoko signs, "Thank you," which has been seen before, but it's not as pronounced. This sets up what's about to happen with Shoko, and tips off viewers who are paying attention to the different nature of the conversation. After Shoko is left, Shoyo goes back to the apartment to grab Yuzuru's camera. On his way, the lights are out and the music is simple, so nothing seems too suspicious. However, the table that Yuzuru's camera is on also has Shoko's hearing aid on it, immediately hinting at something strange. The fireworks illuminate the hallway, and Shoyo looks up and sees Shoko on the balcony. He then sees her start climbing up on the railing, and the music starts building. Shoyo runs towards Shoko, but he falls. He shouts her name and gets up as the music swells. We don't see Shoko fall, just a curtain rise and fall with her not being there at the end. After that, everything is silent, and we see that Shoyo managed to grab Shoko with one arm. This builds on a motif that's happened twice before, of Shoyo and Shoko trying to grab arms but missing. The first was when Shoko jumped off to the bridge to get a notebook, and the second was when Shoyo fell in the park. Both times they previously missed, but with the rule of threes, this time Shoyo caught her. As Shoyo pulls her up, he can be seen slipping more and more over the railing. He promises to do better after this, but faces fears and anxiety. He also feels remorseful about everything he's done to Shoko, and it's implied he's going to confess his love for her. He pulls her back up to the balcony, but then falls over the railing himself. He hits the water and blood starts rising around him, and the scene fades out with blurry emergency lights. This scene is done incredibly well, with everything working in tandem to create a beautiful yet gut-wrenching scene. It builds off of concepts previously established in the film, and ties back into how Shoko essentially saves Shoyo at the start of the movie, and he returns that favor here. When you first watch the movie, you don't know if Shoko will live or die, making the scene that much more tense. Even on rewatches, my stomach drops once the music reaches its climax and Shoko jumps. This scene is just one of many that are perfect in every aspect: writing, animation, music, and direction. A Silent Voice instantly captivated me from its first moments. What I thought would just be a fun movie to watch one night immediately drew me in with its complexity, became one of my favorite movies of all time. Not many movies elicit strong emotional responses from me, but every single scene hit me hard in this movie. This is one of the few movies that's brought me to tears, and that's a testament to the skill of the creators. I've never seen a movie that can make me feel so terrible along with the characters, all while presenting different actual problems with such tact and realism. It's instantly relatable in so many aspects. A Silent Voice is truly a beautiful movie that deals with bullying, depression, and social anxiety in a deeply meaningful and personal way, but also how things can get better if you continue living and keep pushing on. If you watch this video without watching the movie, I hope this has inspired you to go and watch it. If you've already seen the movie, I can't recommend a rewatch enough. Everything works so well in this movie that I can't sing its praises highly enough. And even with everything I've said in this video, there's still so much more that makes A Silent Voice one of the best movies ever. Thank you for watching this video. It was a really important one for me to make, as this is one of my favorite movies of all time and I wanted to deliver it justice. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and tell me what you think about the movie in the comments below. Until next time, I'm Logan, and goodbye.